Let's try to broach an interesting subject here today. Rhythmically, I'm probably playing a little differently than I usually do, right? But anyway, little waltz here. Most people think pentatonics, diatonics, right? I'm misusing the term diatonic there. Dia literally would mean through the tonality, through the scale, or dia with the genitive in ancient Greek would mean through, with the accusative, which I think it doesn't occur that often, but it can mean because of. But I don't think it means because of the scale. It means through the scale. But basically what I mean is a 7-note scale. Most people think in terms of the standard pentatonic shapes or the 7-note scale, right? There is a different way, and I think it can shed light on some people's lines, certainly mine, for what that's worth, which probably shouldn't be worth much to you, but that's kind of what this page is. Like, if you're not completely repulsed by the things I do, here's what I'm thinking, here's what I'm doing, right? And really, I see the 7-note scale. So back in the day, I used to think that I was playing as out as possible, but while still playing in, right? I mean, my lines were kind of a little strange. I haven't played some of this stuff in a long time. I haven't played some of that stuff in forever. It doesn't lay, my fingers don't remember it as well, but notice, I mean, maybe it's hard to notice, but none of those notes sounded like a wrong note, right? It sounds fairly out for something that's made of completely wrong notes. And the way I'm getting some of those lines is by thinking 1 or 2 notes per string, but not the pentatonic notes, right? So if I see this, so just the regular old scale. Maybe the idea is that I'm cutting a different path through it. Whatever I couldn't repeat that if I wanted to, but right. The idea is I'm looking at all the same notes anyone else is, just all the right notes, all the boring vanilla notes. But I'm intentionally picking just 1 or 2 notes per string as I go, and making sure that they're not just, minor pentatonic, right? Now, that's easier said than done, at least at first. So how do you get to where you do this, right? And I would say, first of all, you just sit there by yourself, without a metronome. And let's say you got a scale shape, still in the same key here. I would call this position 3. Some of you call it Dorian. I think it's based on a mistake, on a misunderstanding of what a mode is. There's a video I did. One of the earlier videos in this series is about that. But so I just got that scale, right? Right? I'm intentionally making a smaller pattern out of some random subset of those notes, right? Or I'm tracing, like I said before, tracing a way through the scale where it's like 1 or 2 notes per string, right? The way you get to where you can do this spontaneously, since that's the problem here, right? 1, sit there by yourself at whatever ridiculously slow speed you want to do this at. It does not matter at first at all. Never ever slag yourself. Slag, right? Yeah. Or give yourself slack, either one, for doing something too slowly at first. Don't worry about that. Never worry about that at all. What you're doing is programming muscle memory partly, and new brain habit, brainial habit. I'm sure that's not a word. It is now. Brainial habit. You're writing new code into your hand and into your brain, and that can go as slowly as you want. Like you are not to judge yourself for doing things too slowly, too rubato, too just. I mean, it can be. And then do another one. Do, like, you can repeat given ones, but what's important here is there's you can like program in some specific patterns, but in the long run, what's important, and I mean for the first 6 months, if you just want to program in specific patterns, like one of the earliest ones I did. I haven't played it since then in 20 years, but something like that. When I first started trying this type of thing, that was one of them. I remember playing that at my senior recital at the University of North Texas, or maybe it was the opposite. Something like one of those. It was that basic pattern, right? So I was getting particular patterns under my fingers. But over time, what you want is for it to start becoming something spontaneous. The way you can make it be something spontaneous right now is, like I said, do it just at whatever speed or without a metronome. Just sit there and make yourself have to pick 1 or 2 notes per string while you go up. So you got the scale. So right, go down. You can skip strings, by the way. Playing with your fingers is a godsend here, right? So if you switch over to fingers, or you do like what I do, where you tuck it in between your first finger, your first 2 fingers, that's a great way to do it. So, but By the way, you can do this. You know what? When you're at work, you got to do something while you're at work. So sit there and practice this with your pick until you get carpal tunnel syndrome. It's perfect. Get fast at that. You can you know. Right? Get to where you can go back and forth between them. But even without the guitar, you can just practice the switch. I get mine up there. It doesn't allow for like total independence there because I'm still hanging on to the pick, but it's enough. It's more than enough. So now that sucked. Anyway, so that this enables you to start skipping strings, you know. So sit there and just at any speed you want, improvise like this. Now, when it comes time to test yourself, could you rattle off a line like this? Turn on a metronome. It could be really slow. Or it could, a metronome could be at any speed you want. Like you're just picking a different subdivision. So let's say we put it at that, whatever that is, 150. I've never been good at that. I bet some of my drummer friends would be able to just spot them. No, that's faster than 150, right? Anyway, who cares? So, and you're just randomly pick a note as it goes by. So. Right? Get to where your brain can just start picking a note. You're picking a note per string, or maybe 2 notes per string, right? So notice what I'm doing is 1 or 2 notes per string. And I'm going out of my way to just make sure I'm not playing the standard pentatonic scales. Because, if you're playing 2 notes per string, chances are, traditionally, most people are just playing regular old pentatonics. And you're going to try to not do that, right? What you end up with are kind of quirky lines, and what are the chances you come out with the same type of patterns that another person has? Probably relatively small, yeah, so 1 or 2 notes per string that aren't the pentatonic notes. The way you get good at this is by first just do it. You're not under any test. You don't have to do it at any speed whatsoever. But then when it comes time to test yourself, turn on a metronome and get to where your brain can just, you just pick a note. You just pick a note on your way up, pick a note per string on your way down, or 2 notes for some of the strings. Yeah, like that. Make sense? Interesting lines await you. You're just retraining your brain. You notice how almost everything that I've done in these videos is, hey, we're going to create a new habit in your brain and in your hands, right? And we're going to do it through intentional repeated action, right? That's what it all is, It's how you become great at anything. I have a question for anybody who's made it this far, all 7 of you. If I were to start, this one has very limited appeal probably anyway, but if I were to start a series where I go in depth into Fantastic Boom songs for the few of you who are into that, and I really go into, here's how to play them, but also here are the hidden parts. I get all the stems out and go through all the things I was thinking for everything. They might actually be surprisingly long videos. I'm not sure. It depends on how many things I decide to ignore. What songs would you want me to start with? So the few of you who would be interested in that. It would be a different series than this. I don't know what to call it. Whatever. What do you think it should be called? How about that? Name that series contest. There you go. I'll send you a t-shirt. How about that? Yeah. How about that? I do have some Fantastic Boom t-shirts out in the garage. It's just I gig so little, I don't hardly ever do anything with them. So, yep. That's that. There went 15 minutes. Fairly concise video. So 2 notes per string, 2 or 1 notes per string, and you'll have pretty quirky lines, I think, compared to most people. And like anything, don't judge yourself based on how well you do early on. Who cares? Who cares? It is no indication of how good you can be at it. It really isn't. That goes for anything across the board. Just train your muscle memory until you do it. I really think that getting great at any of this stuff is a matter of practicing it enough the right way. The right way. The way most people practice, who knows if they're getting any better? They might be getting worse. Practicing more is rarely the answer for being great at something. Practicing the right way, plenty, is I mean, to me, I think it virtually guarantees being really good at it. It's just, I really think, barring some, I mean, maybe somebody's very low functioning or something, like somebody has a preposterously low IQ like myself. I don't know. And also, as usual, if you have anything you're struggling with, I bet we can come up with some solution on it. So anything you're really trying to work on in music, in guitar, in writing, then let me know. I bet we can come up with a solution. So I'm going to need topics pretty soon, unless I keep analyzing myself enough, which I don't really want to do. All right. Anyway, bye. I love you.